Spirit's passion flame. In the fire with the smoke, we will shattered by a spoke, risking faith and daring hope. We sing out with the voice of one who came. We cry out as the Spirit's passion flame. In the fire with the smoke, we will shattered by a spoke, risking faith and daring hope. Risking faith and daring hope. Risking faith and daring hope. Joyful, joyful, we adore you, God of glory, life and love. Hearts on full like clouds before you, opening to the sun above. Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the gloom of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. All your works with joy surround you, earth and heaven reflect your rays. Stars and angels sing around you, center of unbroken praise. Field and forest, vale and mountain, drive the blue of dashing sea. Giver of immortal gladness, is with eternity. And fount of blessing, let your light upon us shine, teaching how to love each other, lift their two soul divine. Everybody, mortals join the mighty chorus, which the morning stars began. God's own love is reigning o'er us, joining people hand in hand, ever singing, march onward, victory amidst of strife. Joyful music leads us onward in the triumph song of life.
Okay.
As the wind song through the trees, as the starling of the breeze, so it is with the Spirit of God. As the heart stems turn warm, as a voice within the storm, so it is with the Spirit of God. Never seen, ever known where this wind has blown, bringing life, bringing power to the world. As the dancing tongues of fire are the soul's most deep desire, so it is with the Spirit of God. As a rainbow after rain, as a hope that's born again, so it is with the Spirit of God. As the green in the spring, as a kite on a string, so it is with the Spirit of God, making worlds that are new, making peace come true, bringing gifts, bringing love to the world. As a rising of the east, as a wine at the feast, so it is with the Spirit of God. Okay, which one?
Where?
Maybe I should start? Should I start? Not yet. I'll let you know. Okay.
So you might have noticed that we have a new addition to our music team this morning. I'd like to introduce Jeff Burke on bassoon, tin whistle, and theremin, for those of you who've never seen that instrument before. For those of you unfamiliar with the theremin, you've heard it if you've ever watched spooky space 1950s movies. That's where that sound might sound familiar. And we have Norm Seeley on guitar. And this piece is a song by Nako and Medicine for the People called Love Letters to God. Get that up. what you can, even if your allies draw lines in the sand and dig. Always dig a little deeper. Sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper. Love, so you let love in. Maybe I am born in the wake of your skin, and it's crazy how we wear a ceremony. Always be open to your path and your journey. Yes, she cradles my loneliness, a home in a forest nest. Universal test, feel the weight of my love. Put your hand on my chest and rest. In the cradle of my arms, the battle that we face is the place where our scars come from. And to pick up that gun, my love, we are destined to teach these ones to be brave and never run away. Courage is birthed from the womb in the first light of day. Yeah, the day you were born, you came up perfect, never meant to be torn in silence. Never been so loud in the violence, never been so proud of a people. When we're fighting for a change, not to lace to lose it all, despite all the rage. We are animals, and we cannot be caged. Provoke us to fight, so we burn a little sage and write poetry. Wiser than the enemy will ever be, a minority, an authority. Are you here to arrest or arrest me? I can't tolerate the hate and I'm losing sleep. Can't breathe cause they're choking out a war in me. Immorality, yes. Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars, stars, in the stars. So many parts to a heavy heart, and if there's no beginning, then where would you start? Start, start, where would you start? Human souls, so we carve them into story totem poles, because we're always searching for a certain goal, a pattern of physics, a road. Don't believe all you're told and open up your fist. A misconception, you can fight like this in praise. With the power of prayer, of God's on our side, we can take the stairs to the heavens. Flipping through my chapter 7, I live with the snakes in the great deception. No court in this country for men who steal from the mother on paper with pen. And we're tripping down a red dirt road and we're asking, is this the way you should go? Kissing soft top feet of my goddess, we walk the earth, baby, yeah, we got this focus. And I'm redirected, grateful, and I'm resurrected, stubborn, but I know the way. You're the skin on my drum, to your rhythm I will sway. Take my hand, I won't lead you astray. We will not go gently in darkness of days. Grandma's here, and she says persevere. Take a walk in her moxie, a trail of tears, and our fears are the same as they ever were beers. Numb the pain of our Holocaust years. Maybe bathe in emotion, baby, be an island on an ocean. Your arches, how they bend and contract on my conscience, and they slip through grip of my thesis. And my theory is I shine in your presence, my deliverance, yeah. Love letters to God. I wonder if she reads them or if they get lost in the stars, stars, in stars. So many parts to a heavy heart, and if there's no beginning, then where would you start? Start, start, where would you start?
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, back on.
Are your hearts warmed up yet? Are your hearts warmed up yet? Thanks to our worship gang. They have just done an amazing job, haven't they? Some years ago, I was on a sabbatical and I was talking to the music minister at Trinity St. Paul's United in Toronto, and he told me this next hymn that we're about to sing was worth the price of the entire book of More Voices. I happen to agree with that assessment. My soul cries out.
That's an instrument mic, though. Okay, one more time. Just leave it. From the powers of power, from the darkest tower, and the storm in my left in storm. Let the King beware for wondrous day every time the darkness fall. No hungry more shall weep no more for food they cannot earn. Then the table spread, every mouth be fed, is the world about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away our tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world be about to turn.
In a world plagued by unjust systems. We ask for the slide for the call to worship to be back up. There we go. In a world plagued by unjust systems, we ask for determination and abounding love. In a world of trouble and beauty, we seek justice and resist evil. We risk faith, we dare hope. In a world of
The power's out, the TV's off, and I was just about to beat Rainbow Road on Mario Kart.
It's not just the power that's out. And you spend too much time on that TV anyway.
Electricity's out, power's out. What's the difference?
It's not just the power. The thunder moon.
Oh, great. Here we go again with this old-timey stuff.
Yeah, here we go again. Across Turtle Island, our peoples have different names for the moons, telling us what is happening around us.
Yeah, it's a storm. So, thunder moon, all right?
Smart you, my girl. What can thunder moon teach us?
It's raining.
Yes,
The power's out.
Yeah, I hear ya. The electricity's out. But the thunder moon has power. We need the rain, the water. The winds of the storm move seeds to new places, and the wind knocks down the old rotten branches to make way for new growth.
That sounds like my biology class. Did you know that lightning strikes set loose nitrites in the soil that fertilize it? Or that wind actually removes large amounts of pollution?
My girl, still think the power's out? Oh, there it is. The thunder moon helps us learn that even in the fear and trembling of the storms in our lives, the storms in our world, there are gifts and blessings. The storm challenges us to become better. It did knock out the electricity, but the storm brings great gifts.
But storms do damage too. I'd hate to be a bird in this wind.
We have a moon for that.
Oh, of course you do.
Feather molting moon. Do you know why birds molt? Broken feathers can't heal. They have to be fully replaced. Same with broken systems. A Band-Aid fix doesn't work. You need a whole new gig.
The system will not change the rules. We will change the system.
My girl, protest is necessary. But it takes more than protests. We learn from our winged friends that it takes energy to grow new feathers. It takes energy to show respect. It takes energy to care for all our relations. Changing brings newness. Sometimes that means giving up what we think we already know.
I know, the birds sing with joy. And they sing way too early in the morning.
Maybe they're trying to wake you up. Get woke. Feather molting moon has the power to renew us, to raise us up on eagle's wings, and sing with joy. Hey.
Oh, delicious.
Yes, July is a sweet time. For some people, it's known as a time of raspberry moon. Not that kind of raspberry, guys. That gives us life lessons to serve us as we seek justice and resist evil.
I think I'm gonna like this moon. This raspberry moon.
Well, you can't have all of it, but if you like it so much, where were you when I was picking this morning?
Are you kidding? It's too hot to wear something with long sleeves. And those raspberry bushes, they scratch like a cat.
Well, you think you get justice without thorny challenges, without a few scratches? You think it's easy, you just ask and you get? Think again, my girl. New life, new real change. Everybody wants the sweet fruit. But to get it, we have to face the sharp thorns and any thorns in your life.
One of my friends just dropped me. She won't even talk to me.
That's sad. That must hurt like a thorn. What other challenges do you have in your life?
Why are there so many wars? Why do we have food banks in this rich country? Why do so many northern communities still live under water boil advisories?
These are all thorns that we are challenged with.
Can I have another berry?
Here you go. Just one, though. New change can bring the sweet fruit. Raspberry Moon teaches us that by the gentleness and kindness, we may pass through the thorns of the raspberry bush and harvest the fruit. But by learning gentleness and kindness, we have courage, we'll gain knowledge to help us grow and take care of all the living things.
But war and food banks and water boil advisories.
Raspberry Moon offers its great gift to us to navigate challenges with a good heart, to navigate challenges with kindness, gentleness, and courage.
But I don't want things to stay the same. I'm only a teenager, but I'm already sick of it. I'm sick of all the injustices.
My girl, I'm so glad you're sick of it. I'm glad you're sick of seeking justice. If seeking justice means things can't stay the same. Seeking justice means change. That's why these moons are so powerful. And so our peoples across the land learn from the power of the thunder moon, the feather molting moon, the raspberry moon. These powerful moons help us change ourselves in a good way. These powerful moons help us make change in a good way, with kindness, with respect, with care, and with courage. Now put on your long sleeve shirt and let's go picking.
My soul cries out with a joyful shout that the God of my heart is great, and my spirit sings of wondrous things that you bring to the ones who wait. You fixed your sight on your servant's pride, and weakness you did not spurn. So from east to west may your name be blessed, could the world be about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn.
Psalm 72, verses 5 and 7. May your people worship you as long as the sun shines, as long as the moon gives light for ages to come. May righteousness flourish and prosperity last, as long as the moon gives light.
Psalm Hosea 10:12. Show righteousness, reap love. It's time to till the ready earth. It's time to dig in with God.
On your table, there are raspberries. I hope you haven't eaten them all. So raise your hands if your table doesn't have raspberries. So our steward can help you. So now, does everyone have raspberries? Okay. Now in silence, we invite you to pass the raspberries, sharing so each of you have a berry or two in your hand. So we are going to eat together. As you hold the raspberry, be mindful. What color is it? What does it feel like against your skin?
Yeah, that's not the one we're worried about. It's this one.
What does it smell like?
It's hard to follow back over there.
Where did it grow? Who picked these raspberries? And what were they paid? Who brought the berries to your table this morning? Now we invite you to place the berry in your mouth. Take your time and enjoy. I don't know whether you saw the moon last night, but coming out from the Blue Jays game, unexpectedly we lost the game. But no matter, the thunder moon, or the feather molting moon, or raspberry moon, still shining on us. So I felt blessed by it. Our elder taught us that seeking justice often means dealing with thorns, that the way to justice holds sharp challenges for us. How do you experience thorns as you seek justice and resist evil? What gives you the heart to reach through the thorns to the sweet fruit of justice? Take a moment to think about that, and then you will be asked to share. In your table groups, take turns finishing this sentence. What gives me the heart to reach through the thorns to the sweet fruit of justice is, and we'll call you back with music. Now let's begin.
Hello? Hello? Disregard this, it's a mic check. Thank you.
All good.
Oh, I am small, my God, my all. You work great things in me, and your mercy will last through the depths of the past and the end of the age shall be. You fixed your side and you brought to shame, and to those who would not hear, you will show your might, put the strong to flight, let the world be about to turn. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn. Though the nations rage from age to age, we remember who holds us fast. God's mercy must deliver us from the northern wind and blast. The saving word that our fathers heard is the promise that holds us bound. Till the spear and rod can be crushed, my God, is the dawn being whirled around. My heart shall sing of the day you bring, let the fires of your justice burn. Wipe away all tears, for the dawn draws near, and the world is about to turn.
Let us pray now as Jesus taught us in the language of your choice. 하늘에 계신 우리 아버지시여, 이름이 거룩히 여기는 받으시오. 나라의 마옵시오. 뜻이 하늘에서 이루어진 것이 땅에서 이루어지이다. 오늘 우리에게 일용할 것을 주옵시고, 우리가 우리에게 죄진 자를 사하시고 죄진 자를 주옵시고, 우리를 시험에 들게 하지 마옵시고, 다만 하면서 구하옵소서. 나라 권세는 그의 아버지께 영원히 있사옵나이다. 아멘. All together, let us bless one another. I pray for you, my kindred. Please pray for me. May God give us wise minds and open spirits. May we listen wisely, resisting evil, seeking justice, risking faith, daring hope. May we live well with our Creator working hard in the very path. We work for the long haul, glad of good companions on the way. May joy spill over and every cup overflow. And the people say, Amen.
No, I don't. Where's Alan? Like, we don't just sit here. Yeah, I think that we were gonna get some more.
Good morning. Glad to be here this morning. I have a few announcements. Today is Thursdays in Black. There will be a group photo taken with everyone wearing black in the bleachers at 10:30 at the short break. There's also Thursday in the Black buttons available in the display area. In the display area at the Southwest Hall, where there's so many displays, there's a big Thursdays in Black picture frame where you can put your picture in that picture frame and get your picture taken. Yesterday was Linda Buchanan celebrated her birthday, so happy birthday, Linda. And anyone else who had a birthday yesterday, happy birthday. Also, we'd like to send out our congratulations to Brian Maitland, who became a grandfather for the first time earlier this week. His daughter had a baby boy, Oliver Patrick. Anyone else have a grandbaby born this week?
OK. À 1h30, dans la salle de prière, il y aura des orations en français et en anglais pour les ministères francophones. Prayers will also be for regions 15 and 16. And at 7 o'clock tonight, there'll be prayers for healing. A couple of things from the worship committee. People have been asking if there is a worship at 8:30 on Friday morning, and the answer is yes. Also, people have been wondering who is making up the worship team. So maybe folks can wave. The team consists of Barb James as the worship committee chair, Mingun Khan from Manitoba, music is provided by Seya Ojiri and Brianne Swan from Ontario. And the team is rounded out by other writers, Susie McPherson, Dorendi, Deanna Zantig, and Ted Dodd, all from Manitoba. Manitoba is representing. For those who were wondering and want to have their cash and checks prepared, there is going to be an offering on the Friday night worship. And let's see, staff in orange vests are medical staff. Any concerns that you have should be brought to their attention. Do we have any medical staff who can wave and show us those orange vests? Not seeing anybody. The main desk of the plenary has the cell phone of the nurse, Kathy, so we can call her if needed, and the campus walk-in clinic will see patients if you have your provincial healthcare card with you, your Canada-wide pass. They are located in this building. There was an email sent out this morning about return transportation, and it was sent to every registered participant for General Council, so please do read that. Please note there will be a printer set up at lunch today over at the help desk for those who would like to pre-print a paper boarding pass or ticket for their return transportation. We have a quiz. We're going to do the quiz first, and then we'll get you moving again. Okay, we're just curious who gets the award for the General Counsel Junkie. So, who here has been to 5 or more General Councils? Yeah, okay, 5. There's quite a few. Anybody been to 10 or more General Councils? Whoa, Dan. Okay, we've got 3 people. Okay, we'll go up to 15 General Councils. No? 12? Yeah, okay, looks like 12. How many have you been to? 12 exactly. So our General Counsel junkie.
Okay. I want to remind you that we have to have our ribbons on the fence by the end of the day because the fence leaves tomorrow in the a.m. Breakfast will be served tomorrow or on Saturday in the dining hall for the commissioners from 7 to 8:30. And Kathy Yamashita from the Alberta Northwest president had to leave last night as her father passed away. So it'd be nice if we would keep her in our prayers today for that strength and courage for the next few days she's going to need. Miigwech.
Brianne just asked that we remind everyone that if you would like to be part of the mass choir, they're going to practice today at lunch at what time?
Whenever lunch starts.
So right at the start of lunch, come to the front?
Find us and we'll all go.
Okay, so find her and at the worship table, go to the worship table, and then you'll all head out together. And Kim would like us to have a joke of the day. Here's your groaner. An Anglophone, a Francophone, a Hispanophone, and a Germanophone are all attending a street fair and watching a performer do some very excellent juggling. The juggler notices that the 4 people are really intently watching and wants to really show off the skill of juggling, and so stands up on a large wooden crate and says, "Can you all see?" They reply, "Yes, we see, ya." Wah, wah. Have a wonderful day.
Our poor closed caption providers in Calgary are like, what do we do with this? There you go. I'm now going to invite the General Secretary to explain the process that we're going to use for voting for moderator today.
It's almost time. This is our big day. We're ready for the first ballot. I'm going to give an explanation here, but just know that we're not going to vote like instantly then. The moderator is going to offer a little prayer for all of us, and especially for those that we are considering for moderator before we vote. So, but here's the process. Am I still there? Okay, the voting procedure. You will be using your clickers in the vote for moderator. The process to use the clickers in the vote is as follows. Each candidate is assigned a number, and there's going to be a picture in a few minutes up on the screen with what number goes for each candidate. They're in alphabetical order. The candidates with their number for the first ballot will be on the screen in a moment. You will then be given 6 minutes to contemplate the current list of nominees for moderator. After 6 minutes, we will open the voting, and you will have 2 minutes to cast your vote. To vote, enter the number for the candidate you wish to cast your vote for, with the number 10 corresponding to 0 on the clicker. Results will be sent to the chief scrutineer, who will then communicate the results of the vote to the candidates for moderator. And then we will proceed to the next ballot as soon as possible once the nominees have all been informed. Thank you.
All right. So, friends, let us begin with a time of prayer. Holy God, Creator, Source, we give you thanks for 10 excellent and faithful people who have allowed their names to go forward as nominees for the next moderator of our church, who have offered themselves to us, to you, in humble service. We give you thanks for their courage, for their faithfulness, for their willing to say yes to your call to let their name stand. We pray that you will be with them this day, a day full of emotion and excitement and probably some angst. We pray that your Spirit will move among us as a council to guide and direct our hearts and our spirits, to grant us wisdom and discernment, that we may carefully, prayerfully, and faithfully discern who might lead us as a church for the next triennium in the way you are calling us to go. We ask all this in the name of the one who calls us to follow, Jesus the Christ. Amen. So friends, if you look at the screens, you see the names of the 10 candidates with the corresponding clicker number beside them. We're now going to have 6 minutes to just prayerfully and silently reflect, and then I will invite us to vote after the 6 minutes. All right, friends, if you get your clickers out, and if we could have the screen back up that has the names and numbers. So the clicker number beside the name is the number corresponding to that person, if you want to vote for them. Please vote now. All right, friends, thank you. And I believe all the nominees are now going to go to where they're going to go to. And I'm going to invite Alan Buckingham up to just kind of introduce us to our process today.
Great. Thank you, moderator. So I am assuming, because you've been asking, that it's not just the couple people who are wondering if I'm feeling stressed yet. And the answer is no. But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I don't actually feel stressed that often, if ever. So we're fine, though. We're fine. I want to make a couple of reminders of some of the things and some of the ways that we work, though. We were, I hope, pretty clear that when we are listening, we are listening. When we are discussing, which we're pretty good at doing, we're discussing. And now I want us to try and get our heads around when we're deciding that we're deciding. So I did a quick little math. So I had one lovely conversation with somebody whose discussion group, they're pretty confident every single person had spoken in. So just doing a quick little math, so that's one discussion group. I'm going to do the full max, so maybe it's only 30, but I did my math with 32 people in that discussion group. So that's 32 people who spoke. If at a minimum, 2 people spoke in every other discussion group, which I'm hoping in every other discussion group you also got everybody speaking, but if 2 people spoke, we're still hitting 60 people who have spoken and contributed and gotten their wisdom into the process so far that the facilitation group's presenting. And for those of you who have been to General Council before, just think through, how many individuals do you think have contributed to the process in the past? So we're doing our best to hear as many voices as we can. And we've done that in our discussion groups. And we will continue this afternoon, 3.5 more hours in your discussion group, to try and work through the rest of those proposals. So then when we come back to this group, we're asking, was the spirit of your conversation heard in these notes? And then we're going to try and move ourselves into that decision place. And so I want you to try and keep that in mind as we're going through today. And it's your meeting. You can work with it as you want. The suggestion that I'm making is that in our decision session, let's try and keep ourselves there. And I don't know whether you're going to believe me or not, but I honestly believe that if we take that mindset of decision making and we do that for our decision sessions, that we can still be done by break on Friday. You are spending an amazingly wonderful amount of time having great discussions. Let's own that. That doesn't mean don't talk about things. If something's suggested or mentioned and you really think that is a huge piece of wisdom, we need to move that from here into here because it's not there, that's great. We can do that quickly. We've already talked about it. We know how we feel about it. I'm just going to leave that with you for a second. And I'm going to invite the facilitation group to come and finish the governance proposals. And we'll move through ministry personnel as well, right?
Thank you very much. So this proposal is MTU1, a change to current Remit process. What we heard, there were mixed feelings generally across the groups who responded to this proposal. There was acknowledgement of the historical reasons for the current system. There was suggestion that communities of faith should be encouraged to participate. And there was concern that small rural communities of faith might be having issues receiving communication. We therefore suggest the following way forward, that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MTU01.
All right, thank you. So you hear the report from the facilitation team. Remember that all of their notes are captured and contribute to the ongoing wisdom and discernment of our whole church and how we proceed. Do you feel, get those clickers out, because here's the question again. Do you feel that they have captured the spirit? The facilitation team has captured the spirit of your discussions. If you feel they have, please click 1. If you feel not, then click 2. Please click now. %, say yes. So I'm now going to ask you, are you ready to move from proposal stage into motion stage with the wording as you have it, which is that the 43rd General Council take no further action on proposal MTU01. You're not voting on that, you're simply saying, are we ready to go to a motion with this wording? If yes, 1, if no, 2. Please click. %, are ready to go. So you overwhelmingly felt that you were heard and you were ready to go to the motion with this wording. do we have a mover and seconder? We're going to take movers and seconders, but here, when we take movers and seconders, what we need is your name, your conference, say them into a microphone, and then take them to the business table so they've got the spelling. So, and we'll do this each time, so just, if you know you're going to want to move or second something, just try to get to a mic. I know, we're throwing this one at you because we didn't do this yesterday or the other day. Nobody's moving. There's no, you're right, there's only a mic on the floor. I think the mics are hiding because some of them are there, but they don't have numbers on them. We'll get there, but I see mic 2.
Graham Brownler, BC Conference. I'd be willing to move this.
And mic 3?
Mike Wyatt from Hamilton Conference, and I'm happy to second it.
Okay, Graham Brownmiller and Mike Wyatt. So it's moved and seconded. Are you ready for the vote? And get your clickers ready, because now we're actually voting on it, friends. We'll have that, there we are. If you're in favor, you will vote 1. If you're opposed, you'll vote 2. Please vote now. See the numbers on those mics, but it's 89% in favor of taking no further action, so that is approved. Ask our facilitation team back. Betty, thank you.
Thank you. Now you will realize we're looking at MTU3, membership of the executive of the denominational council, and NL1, representative and its representation and accountability within the executive of the denominational council together. A number of groups suggested they be combined, and we've done that. What we heard, some groups felt that the loss of regional representation meant a loss of the conciliar nature of the church. Some groups noted there is a difference between representation and conciliar. We are moving from a geographically representative model, but we are still a conciliar church. We still have councils. Some noted that the role of the executive ministers is important in this new regional model of the church. One group noted regional representation is not a theological requirement of our conciliar structure. Some groups felt concern over the implications of losing regional representation, but affirmed that corresponding members could play a role in a new model. There were a significant number of questions raised about the implications of new systems in addition to those comments we've noted. There is a lack of clarity around representation and accountability of those elected to do the work of the church, as well as what it means to be conciliar. There were significant and important questions raised on these proposals. There was some affirmation for them, and there were some groups who felt that not increasing the size of the denominational council was important. Having read and discerned your comments, our suggested way forward was that the 43rd General Council refer MTU03 and NL01 to the General Secretary to study how we define the conciliar nature of the church and the impact of regional representation on decision-making, and direct the General Secretary report to the 44th General Council on the experience of our living into the new models of church.
All right, thank you. So, friends, you have heard the report of the facilitation team. Before I turn to microphones, well, no, people are lined up at microphones, so yeah, first I want to know if you feel like you've been heard, if you feel like that the facilitation team has captured the spirit of the discussions in your discussion groups. So please use your clickers to indicate yes or no. Have they captured the spirit of your discussions? Please click now. Okay, you are overwhelmingly feeling like they've captured the spirit. So I'm going to ask you if you're ready to move to a motion with this wording. If you're ready to move to a motion with the wording that we have here, then you'll click 1. And if you're not ready to move to a motion with this wording, you'll click 2. Please click now. Again, overwhelmingly ready to move to now. So you have a point of order? Point of order, Mike, please.
Blair Patterson, Montreal Ottawa Conference. Moderator, when you use that wording, are we ready to vote according to this wording? Does that preclude having amendments made, or is it voting on the exact wording that is on the screen?
No, we're not voting. So if you think, when I'm asking the question, are you ready to move to a motion stage with this wording, it means you feel like they've captured the spirit and you think this is the right wording for us to start with. It might get amended but if you feel like, no, there's something really wrong with the wording, we need that massaged a bit. If the court said that, then I would invite up folks who had said no to a microphone to say, what is it you feel is lacking or needs to change in this wording? The facilitation team would hear that, and then they'd have to go away and they'd have to work with the sum total of what they've heard from the discussion groups and from the floor, and they would come back to us later with new wording. So, but it doesn't mean that you can't. Yeah, at this point you've said, yeah, we're ready to go to a motion, which may or may not get amended, but generally this is the right wording. So I see people at mics. Are you moving and seconding? I need a mover and a seconder. Well, no. So please move to a mic and step away from a mic if you're not moving or seconding, and move to a mic if you are. Okay, mic 1 and 3. Mike.
Lorraine Mackenzie Shepherd, Manitoba Northwest Ontario Conference. I so move.
And mic 3.
Paula Gale, Newfoundland Labrador Conference, and I'll second that.
Thank you. All right. Now it's moved and seconded. I am still seeing people at microphones. So are you wanting to speak to the motion? Microphone 1?
Yes. We're proposing an amendment to the proposal to read, Elizabeth Morrison, Maritime Conference, that the 43rd General Council refer MTU 03 and NL 01 to the General Secretary for study regarding how we define the conciliar nature of the Church and the role of regional and other forms of representation within our conciliar system and its decision-making processes, and direct the General Secretary to report back to the 44th General Council regarding same study. I move.
George Bott, Manitoba, Northwestern Ontario. I second.
So the amendment that you're proposing is regional, to add the words "and other" after regional. So it would it's the impact of regional and other representation on decision making.
You don't have the original in front of me. Can we just?
We don't have the original in front of us.
Oh, okay, the original. Could we see the original wording on the screen, please?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go. So what we're proposing is for study regarding how we define the conciliar nature of the Church and the role of regional and other forms of representation.
So you're wanting to change the word impact to role and then add "and other" after regional?
Yes. After representation, it's within our conciliar system and its decision-making processes, and direct the General Secretary to report back to the 44th General Council regarding same study.
So can you take that wording to our tech team over here so they can get the precise wording that you're suggesting, and we'll get that up on the screen?
We can.
To the business table here. Yes, I've just been reminded by the General Secretary, if you know that you're going to be bringing an amendment, if you can actually get the wording to the business table in advance, then it will help this process to go a little more smoothly. So we're going to have that wording up there right away, but this amendment, the suggested amendment is moved and seconded, so now our discussion is on the amendment. So if you feel you've heard from the facilitation team already, you kind of have a sense of the discussions. Are we ready to simply vote on this? You've heard the rationale, or are you ready to vote on the amendment once we've got it up there on that screen? I'm hearing yeses and questions, and so we're going to wait to actually see the wording, so we're very clear what we're voting on. So this is a great time to have a little deep breath and to reground ourselves in the Spirit and to remember that we do this work because we love the church so much.
And others in the wrong place.
Yeah. It's almost there. It's the role of regional and other forms of representation. We just need regional before and. And while we're taking our deep breaths and giving thanks for this church, maybe we can add a prayer of thanks for our tech team, because it might seem like it's a simple thing to just type something in, but the level of technology that's going on over there for what seems very simple up here would boggle most of our minds. So a big shout out to our tech team. Beautiful. Okay. So they're just going to put some of that in yellow, but you've got the wording there now. I've heard you call the question on the amendment, so I'll read it out for folks who might not be able to read that the 43rd General Council refer MTU 03 and NL 01 to the General Secretary to study how we define the conciliar nature of the church and the role of regional and other forms of representation within our conciliar system and its decision-making processes, and direct the General Secretary report to the 44th General Council on the experience of living into the new models of the church. Get your clickers ready, please. You're voting just on the amendment. If you're in favor of the amendment, click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. Okay, so there's mutterings that the clickers over on my left aren't working. Can we get the count on that vote? $275? So it's quite possible we had a low number on that vote. So maybe we're going to do that again. We were missing some votes that time. Thank you for speaking up. So just going to do a do-over here. So let's make sure that's good. Always check your clicker to make sure that the little light is turning green when you click, and really click it like you mean it if it isn't. Okay, we're going to vote now. Do it again. is not what we need today. All right, I hear ya. Can we have the count? 306. Some more of them are working than you think. But
I think we should count this one approved, but then we'll ask the technical people to figure out what's going on.
okay, so here's what we're going to do, folks. We want those clickers working. Given the numbers, with 82% of the vast majority of votes being counted, it will have passed, even if everyone whose clicker wasn't working was voting no. It will still have been approved, but now we're going to get those clickers working. So I'm going to declare this one approved, but we're going to make sure that every vote is counted for all subsequent votes. So we need to do a little something something with your clickers.
We can still hear from people on the main motion.
Yep. And who's going to make that happen? Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, while they're figuring out how to get all of those clickers woken up this morning, and maybe if you just give them a little coffee, try pouring some coffee on that, because maybe they just haven't woken. We can continue discussion on the main motion. So we now have before us the motion as amended, that both of these proposals be referred to the General Secretary for study on, well, you've voted on it, so you know what it is. Is there any further discussion on the motion? And we've got a point of order, Mike.
And Brian Maitland from Saskatchewan Conference. Moderator, it seems to me that even with the decision-making process that we've had through the last few days, knowing that we've had lots of discussion, we still need, it seems to me, after a motion is made, room for further discussion before we go to the vote. Certainly after an amendment is made, to hear the rationale for the amendment and all that sort of stuff. So we still need that discussion room in our process this morning.
And that's what we're doing right now. I'm just hoping that if you have seen the wisdom from your discussion group reflected in what's been prepared, that you do not feel any need to repeat it again. You can trust that it has been heard, and this time of discussion would be to ensure that something that you feel hasn't been heard or hasn't made it in gets heard here on the floor. So I recognize microphone 3.
My name is Gordon Roberts, and I'm from North Bay and Manitou Conference.
If you can talk right into the microphone, please.
My name is Gordon Roberts, and I'm from North Bay and Manitou Conference. And I want to be clear, I'm not opposed in any way, shape, or form to the moving to an intercultural church, but ultimately at this moment, we're not being welcomed at the executive process of the church, and we're not going to be part of the decision-making process of the church for at least the next 3 years. And the motion we have before us refers us on to General Council 44, which is going to be 3 years from now, and then any action that could be emanate from that is going to be put off for at least another 3 years as a result of the Remit process. There is another way forward for us in this process. That other way forward is to add corresponding members for the next triennium and to authorize a Remit to go out to the church to test the will of adding to the size of the executive. And I know of nothing that says to anybody, 18 is the holy number. 18 is not a holy number. 18 is less than what we have now. And 18 is simply a construct. So please do not go ahead with something that's going to leave us off the executive and out of the decision-making process for a minimum of another 3 years.
Okay, thank you for that. Microphone 1.
Thank you, Moderator. David Pollard, Alberta Northwest Conference. I'd move the following amendment, that members of the regions not represented on the Denominational Council be made corresponding members of the Denominational Council.
Tony Orlando, Maritime Conference, second the motion. Amendment.
Amendment. Okay, so there is an amendment that, that there be corresponding membership representation from regions who do not have a member of the elected to the executive. Yes, thank you. Friends, we're going to take a little pause. So you've got some time to reflect on that, to think about that, because right now we're going to hear the results of the first ballot. So for moderator. So you can ponder in your heart of hearts what you think about the amendment that's been proposed, but let's just tune our hearts right now to receive this news.
We now have the results of the first ballot. And I'm going to give you first the names of the people whose names will be on the second ballot. On the second ballot will be Susan Beaver, Tessa Blakey Whitecloud, Richard Bott, Catherine Faith McLean, Wanda Stride, and Martha Turkile. We want to thank David Hart, Kathy Larmond, Colin Phillips, and Donna Lee Williams for the gifts that they offer the church. We'd like to take a moment in prayer. Loving God, we are so blessed with the leadership in this church. Our cup is overflowing. We give thanks for each of those who have offered themselves to serve in this way. We know that your love will surround them and that you will call them into places of leadership in other ways. And we ask that you provide comfort for those that experience disappointment and for those that that come in support of those that will not be on the next ballot. Amen. So I've given the names of the people who will be on the next ballot. I gave them in alphabetical order. You'll need to be aware that when you vote, the numbers might be different from last time because there are different people in the list. So make sure that when you do come to vote, you're going to look at the number that's there this time. But I think we're going to have a video before or are we just staying in the business? Video, okay.
Our community ministry focuses on transformational justice by affirming the worth of individuals, empowering communities, and seeking social justice.
We've been offering support in the community for over 60 years as an organization and have grown from one program that started in the basement of United Church to now having over 30 different programs.
Poverty is not being in partnership or not being in communion with the other. And when I asked one of our Indigenous brothers and what it meant to be poor, being poor meant a lack of kinship.
Any transformational spiritual moment or a moment of grace, you can't predict when that happens. It could be because it was your 30th bowl of soup for breakfast, or it could be because you got your income stable, and it could be that you had a place to sleep while you were working but not earning enough to find an apartment, and you had a safe place to keep your things while you were at work until you could find a new apartment. And that's one of the reasons why we have such a broad spectrum of programs that we offer, because there's no one magical thing or moment or program that works for everybody.
Being a sober parent is a big step for me. Like, I've been sober before, but not this long to being a parent. And I use my tools from talking to people that understand and that can give me good, honest advice back. And it's usually here at work, outreach, the minister, my boss, people up in the admin. It just gives me that strength that it's okay, I'm not alone.
My experience here has been a positive one. I've been coming here for 11 years. I mostly come for the meal program. They've helped me with mental health issues, finding suitable housing. It's been nothing but a positive experience.
I think we see transformation every day with those we work with our staff and volunteers. And one of our volunteers, who's a university student who helps to serve lunch at Wesley Day Center, she talked about how it's not us or them, it's all of us together in community. And I think that's what we are trying to do as an organization. It really is all of us coming together. We're really blessed by very dedicated volunteers from our church community. Some of those are weekly volunteers, some are those that come in just to serve a Sunday dinner or to help out at our Christmas store.
By giving back to the community sometimes, you know, they give back to us also.
It's all about lots of love. The love here, honestly, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
When you come here, the door is open. I like it because it's friendly.
There's sort of a dominant stereotype that if you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get over whatever it is, that you can somehow overcome all of these multiple barriers. And the truth is that it's very, very difficult to overcome barriers that are systemic in nature. And so I think we have a role to play in naming what those barriers are and encouraging the church to take an active stance in shifting public perception and public policy. We really try and meet our community members where they're at.
I've been using the daycare center for about 20 years now. Well, I was a single parent and had my son home alone. I was on a fixed income. I needed somewhere to take him where he could interact with other children.
It helps the people who actually need help.
For me, it was just a sense of community. It's just nice.
We do drumming and pray together and read the gospel and sort of do Bible study and check in about people's weeks and offer smudging and traditional medicines to everyone in the room.
I think we have a lot to offer local congregations. We're offering practical ways in which they can serve and be part of our community, whether that's with refugees who've newly settled in Hamilton, whether that's children and youth living in high priority neighborhoods, or men and women who are experiencing homelessness. And it's also that opportunity for churches to work together. When we welcomed almost 2,000 Syrian refugees to our community, the pride among the United Church members that they were a part of that settlement through Wesley was so evident.
We don't do community ministry in order to populate our churches. We do community ministry because Jesus told us, feed my sheep, take care of my people.
right, thank you. I'm going to ask that the slide be put up with the names that are on the second ballot, along with the clicker numbers. Note the clicker number beside the name of the person you want to vote for. It may not be the same number that was beside their name last time. So we've got 6 minutes now for... there is, yes, thank you. Perhaps before we go into this vote, we're going to do a little clicker test. So can we go to a yes-no slide? Any yes-no slide will do. Oh, yes, and here's what you don't know. It looks so simple, go to a yes-no. It's a totally different computer. They got to get hooked up to the thingy up there, and it's... How are you? Beautiful, thank you. So friends, get your clickers out and let us know if you're 1, good, or 2, very good. Please click now. Please do not abstain. We want to know if your clicker's working. Have we got... All right, you know what? You've all voted already. It didn't even take you 2 minutes. We've got the right number of clicks. So your clickers are working. Yay. Thank you, tech team, for making that happen. All righty, so now if we... Woohoo! And 2/3 of you are very good. All right, now we're going to go back to the slide with the names and the numbers. So you've got 6 minutes of prayerful discernment and reflection before we vote. Thank you. So folks, get those functioning clickers out. And the number is beside the name. Please vote now. All right, thank you. So now we are back in discussion on the governance proposal, and it's gonna, we have a motion before us that has been, the amendments have been approved, so you have the, oh, right. Just needed a little moment there. We have another proposed amendment, and which has been moved and seconded, that to the end of the motion, we include the words, and in the interim, ensure regional representation through corresponding membership to the denominational executive. So we are now discussing the amendment. Microphone 3.
Susan Eagle, Toronto Conference. I have a question for clarification, and that will assist me in knowing how to vote on the amendment. The facilitation team acknowledged that when we had had our conversation in our discussions, the thought had been given that through corresponding membership, some areas that we felt needed to be covered could be covered. That might be regional representation, it might be something else. There was also a feeling that perhaps there was some wisdom to be gained from executive secretaries who might be present. So the question I have, and perhaps this is to the General Secretary, what flexibility do we have in our system for there to be any addition or any use of corresponding members in the interim? Does that denominational council have the ability to ask someone to be a corresponding member? Does the General Secretary? Are we moving to a system where we complained about inflexibility and we're moving again to something that's so rigid we have no flexibility?
Yes, there is flexibility. I think the way that the Comprehensive Review Task Group envisioned the smaller executive was that they would invite in whatever resource people were necessary rather than having a roster of people that was always present and able to speak but not vote. Having said that, it's always possible to create the idea of corresponding members again and do that work. And that could be done simply by the executive inviting people in as needed, or it could be by direction from this body.
Thank you.
So again, friends, I'm going to remind you to use our decision-making time well. Microphone 3.
My name is Hannah Park. I'm from Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario Conference. I support the motion and the original motion and the amendment. I simply would like to offer the wisdom because I believe that my voice matters, and I think that not yet we have seen many racialized members speaking their thoughts on this mic, so I would like to use this time. So our moderator, Jordan Cantwell, said in her earlier message, if we want to be different, we can't be the same. I am honored and grateful for being elected to be one of the 15 to serve on the new denominational council executive. What made me decide to apply for this position? The trust in the national church's call to make up at least, I repeat, at least half of the members to be racialized members or those from other groups that have been marginalized in church decision-making. I would like to ask, when we consider compensating the identified gap with the representation or counselor-based model, which I don't oppose, I simply would like to offer the input and insight into this. Does our desire or disappointment come from the intention to be different? What difference do we dare to hope to make? I think this is the key question to ask in all considerations. My daring hope comes from the joy of imagining what difference we would be able to make nationally and regionally if the higher decision-making bodies are less operated on and more free from white privilege and other dominant privileges and their norms. In my understanding, the key issue in making up the new denominational council executive, as it has been proposed and passed, is to experiment with starting an intentional community where, as possible, racism and white privilege, settler privileges, and other dominant privileges have less power on our wisdom building, where work will be determined and impacted by those who are affected by these oppressions directly, for us to pay more attention to the work of the Spirit. So it is really to dare to hope that we will not be the same church, still white church, but we will be more interculturally missional church, dismantling white privilege in our own front yard, unnormalizing what we have normalized, and to imagine. Thank you.
Thank you. Microphone 3.
Brian Cornelius, Chair of the Permanent Committee on Finance. I'm speaking against the amendment. I don't believe that any region is represented, that the nominations has chosen individuals, of which geographic diversity was one of the factors, have chosen individuals called to serve on the denominational council. And I am loath to begin the process of deciding for that executive who they're bringing in as resource people or who they want to name as corresponding members. I speak against the amendment.
Okay, thank you. One more comment at microphone 3.
Erin Todd, Manitou Conference. As a member of the nominations committee that worked hard to put together this slate of people for the denominational executive that we accepted, just to further Brian's comment, geographical, as he said, geographical diversity was certainly a consideration, but it was very clear that we were not to be tied to a direct representative sort of model as we were. So I heard, what I heard in the amendment was regions that aren't represented should be, and there are 3 of them, should have corresponding members to sort of represent those regions. And I would just caution that it's not like we left 3 regions out, and it's just that wasn't meant to be our model. And we tried to pick people that had lived in different areas of the country as well. So the place you're living right now, or the region where one is living right now, isn't necessarily representative of the breadth of the experience of where the person has lived. So I'd just be sort of cautious of thinking the people that we chose are sort of representing their region and 3 regions are going to be left out. That wasn't our model this time.
Thank you. Are you ready for the question? So the question is on the amendment. We're going to vote at this point on whether or not to include the amendment that we... Thank you. Thank you. What's in green there, and that we add the words to the motion, and in the interim, ensure regional representation through corresponding membership to the denominational council executive. We're just voting on whether or not to include those words in our motion. So if you get your clickers out, if you're in favor of including those words in the motion, click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. Okay, the amendment is defeated by about a 2/3 majority, so we're back to the motion. Are you ready to vote on the motion? All right. Then if we could have the current wording of the motion up there. There we are. So if it's got a line through it, it's not part of the motion. So it reads that the 43rd General Council refer MTU 03 and NL 01 to the General Secretary to study how we define the conciliar nature of the Church and the role of regional and other forms of representation within our conciliar system and its decision-making processes, and direct the General Secretary report to the 44th General Council on the experience of living into the new models of the Church. If you are in favor of this motion, you are going to click 1. If you are opposed, you're going to click 2. Please vote now. Click it again.
Keep clicking.
Keep clicking. You've got a few more seconds and we'll get the total number. Our number is 308 out of a possible of 327, and we're 90% in favor. I think that sometimes they just like to play with you, because it does seem, in fact, that they are working, even though they're flashing little red lights at you. So I think we're going to move on from that, because the total number would indicate that they are working. So that is approved. Thank you.
Now we turn our attention to TOR5, the manual item 5.33, mandatory meetings of the pastoral charge. This was what we heard from you, that there was a general affirmation for the proposal and for taking into account the difference between smaller and larger churches in how they determine the required number for a mandatory meeting. One group suggested the matter to be referred to the Denominational Council Executive for further study. One group suggested that the number required for a mandatory meeting for the pastoral charge be 10 people or 10%, whichever is greater. Therefore, we have discerned and will suggest to you the following way forward, that the 43rd General Council amend the manual item 5.33, mandatory meetings of the pastoral charge, to make the requirement for a mandatory meeting 10 people or 10% of the membership, whichever is greater.
All right, thank you very much. So you've heard the report from the facilitation team. Get the clickers ready, because I'm asking you now, do you feel that the facilitation group has captured the spirit of your discussions? If yes, click 1. If no, click 2. Please click now. Yep, you're sure feeling like they captured the spirit of your discussion. So then I'm going to ask you, are you ready to go to a motion with the current wording? And if you are, well, please click now, yes or no, 1 or 2. Okay, so we're ready to go to a motion. Do I have a mover and seconder at mic 3?
Cheryl Wood Thomas of Hamilton Conference, and I would move this motion.
Do I have a seconder? Mic 3 was there first.
Toronto Conference, Angus McLennan.
All right, thank you. It's moved and seconded. You've had fulsome discussion. Is there any further discussion that absolutely needs to take place, or are you ready for the question? Bob, mic 3.
Bob Fillier, BC Conference. Moderator, I think this is a friendly amendment, just so that we're clear about what we mean by membership. So that 10 people or 10% of the of members, full members in good standing.
I'm going to ask the facilitation team if that's what they heard. The podium mic, please.
To be fair to the motion or the proposal that was brought before us, I believe the proposal specifically dealt with full membership. And so the word membership there is in keeping with the proposal. And so if it is that the court feels that it would like to be absolutely clear, then the word full membership would not cause the motion to be, it would just add to the motion, but it wouldn't make the motion less than what it is.
All right, so the original proposals were talking about full members, and so membership refers to full members. Microphone 3. We have mic 3? Yeah?
I'm just waiting to see what comes up on the screen.
Nothing's coming up on the screen.
Nothing's coming up. So then respectfully, if the background material refers to full membership or full members, then the motion that we're voting on should also refer to full members.
What I have just said is that, yes, it did, I think it referred to it, but it didn't say that it was full membership. So what the facilitation team has done is basically taken the motion or the proposal as it is. If we put the word full there to make it absolutely clear, that's okay. If it is as it is, I believe it's okay as well, unless I can be directed by General Secretary.
I'm going to ask the General Secretary.
Just to remind the court that it has been moved and seconded, so if you want to change the wording, it will require moving and seconding in that. But having said that, this is to give instructions to the manual committee, and usually we expect them to make sure the wording is just right. So you could have a choice there, whether you want to go through the formality or whether you want to leave it to the manual committee to work that out.
All right. And folks, I'm going to remind us, we're back into it today, be attentive to who's at the microphone and who, if you have been at a microphone in the last, 24, 36, 48 hours, there's a lot of people in this room who haven't. So just reminding us all of that. So microphone 3.
G. McDonald, BC Conference. I move that we amend the motion to read 10 people or 10% of the full membership. Seconded by?
Bob Fillier, BC Conference.
All right. Are you ready to vote on that? So just adding the word full. We're just adding 10% of the full members. for the full membership. There we go. All right. Get those clickers out. I think we're ready to just decide whether we want, so you're voting on whether or not to include the word full before the word membership. If you're in favor of adding the word full, please, in a moment, we'll give the tech team a sec here, but get ready. Here's what you're gonna do in a moment. You're gonna click 1 if you wanna include the word full, and you're gonna click 2 if you think you don't want the word full in there. Now we're ready, so go ahead and vote. All right, well, it was close, but that is approved with 54% of the vote. So you have the amended motion before you. I think we're ready to vote on the membership, or, oh, Lord, on the motion as amended. So please get those clickers ready. No, they just voted on the amendment, so it now says full membership. And so now the motion before us is that we amend the manual, item 5.3.3, to read, mandatory meetings of the pastoral charge to, what it said, to make the requirement for a mandatory meeting 10 people or 10% of the full membership, whichever is greater. So get the clickers ready. If you're in favor of this motion, you're going to click 1. If you're opposed, click 2. Please vote now. All right, and that is approved overwhelmingly. So, thank you very much. Friends, 2 very exciting things to announce to you. 1, we have finished the governance theme. 2 is that we have the results of the second ballot for moderator. So I'm going to ask the General Secretary to share those.
Yes, we now have the results of the second ballot. The candidates who will be moving forward onto the third ballot, again, are in alphabetical order, are Susan Beaver, Tessa Blakey-Whitecloud, Richard Bott, and Catherine Faith McLean. We want to thank Wanda Stride and Martha Turkile for the gifts that they offer the church. And we'll take a moment in prayer. Loving God, we feel your spirit amongst us today. We give thanks for all those who've offered themselves in your service, in the service of this church. For those that will not be on the next ballot, we ask that your love surround them and that this community remind them of how valued they are in your service. Amen. I think we're going to have some announcements before we get ready for the next ballot.
Just one announcement passed to me by the local arrangements. For persons who are requiring accessible bus transportation on Saturday, you are asked to contact the transportation coordinator, and that is to contact this person by phone. That's Brian Page. So I'll give you a moment to get out a pen and paper or a smartphone on which to type the phone number. And it is 416 area code 559-2512. That's 416-559-2512 if you would like accessible transportation on Saturday.
All right, thank you very much. All right, friends, now we're before we take our break, and that's coming up right away, but first we want to do our third ballot for moderator. So again, I'm going to ask our tech team to get the names up there, and remember the number may have changed for the person that you would like to vote for. So make sure you're looking at the clicker number that's beside the name of the person that you want to vote for. We've got 6 minutes of reflection and discernment and prayer before we vote. clickers ready. And I'm going to invite you to vote now. All right, thank you. Friends, it's time for a bit of a break. So you've been hard at work this morning. My watch tells me it's about 1:45. You know what, our host is going to do this. Okay, go ahead, go for it.
So I was sent out to find out where the photo's going to be. Do you want it on this side? Okay, so if you're going to be in the photo for Thursdays in Black, please go into the bleachers here on this side by the door and stay to that end. If you're not going to be in the photo, go for food.
Oh, I need my, and you've got half an hour for your break, so we are back in here, and we're going to begin again at 11:15. That's in half an hour.